Okay, welcome everyone and all. I'm now going to be reviewing all of Monday's action from the NHL. There were 10 games on tap, therefore 20 teams were hungry to get 2 points in the standings, starting with the Colorado Avalanche, and they were in Montreal continuing their road trip. Take a look at the goal scoring summary from this game. So in the first, Ross Colton would kick things off with a power play goal, 4 minutes and 28 seconds, getting his 10th of the season from Jonathan Drouin, who made his return as being a former Montreal Canadian, and Cale Makar. Slavkovsky would get a power play goal of his own, 7 minutes and 17 seconds in that period, tying the game up at 1, getting his 5th goal of the season from Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. In the second period, Makar would give the Avalanche a 2-1 lead, getting his 10th goal of the season from Gerard and Nathan MacKinnon. Harvey Pinard, who was outstanding last season, would finally come through, getting his first goal of the season for the Montreal Canadiens, tying the game up at 2 with 3 minutes and 52 seconds remaining, assisted by Jake Evans and Brendan Gallagher. So after 40 minutes of play, we were all tied up at 2. Cole Caulfield, or Goal Caulfield, would get a power play goal, getting his 13th goal of the season from Suzuki and Matheson a minute and 52 seconds into that frame. Devon Toews would tie the game up almost halfway through that period, getting his 7th of the season from Rantanen and Makar in 9 minutes and 37 seconds to be exact. And with late in the third, Yoel Armia, the guy who's been a stud as of late, would give the Habs a 4-3 lead, getting his 7th goal of the season from Sean Monahan and David Savard. And that goal happened with 4 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the period. And that's where we would stand at the end of regulation. So with the victory, the Habs have now gotten back to 500. I feel like they're going to be like a 500 team for the remaining of the season. They're sitting at 18, 18, and 7. And despite the loss, the Avalanche are still sitting second in that Central Division, 28, 13, and 3. All right, the next matchup takes place in Buffalo, where we have the Sharks, who are continuing their road trip, taking on the Sabres. All right, we'll take a look at the goal scoring summary from this game. So there's no scoring in the first. If you jump ahead to the second period, where Middlestad would open up the scoring for the Sabres, getting his 12th goal of the season from Okposo and Johnson. Alex Tuch would increase the lead to 2-0 with 5 minutes and 23 seconds to go, getting his 12th of the season from Quint and Middlestad. So after 40 minutes of play, it was 2-0 in favor of the Sabres. Greenway would increase the lead for Buffalo, getting his 4th goal of the season from Middlestad and Dahlin. And that goal happened with 3 minutes and 26 seconds remaining in the game. So Buffalo would get a shutout. 3-0 would be the final score. With the victory, the Sabres are sitting at 19, 21, and 4. And with the loss, the San Jose Sharks are 10, 31, and 3. All right, now we're off to Boston, where we have the Bruins, and they were played host to the New Jersey Devils. Okay, so in this game, there was no scoring in the first period. We have to jump ahead to the second. We're with the scoring 30 seconds into that middle frame, recording his 15th goal of the season from Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak. In the third, Pastrnak would get a goal himself, his 26th of the season from Charlie McAvoy and Brad Marchand. 3 minutes and 22 seconds into that third period, a power play goal to note. And then with just over a minute to go, a minute 18 seconds to be exact, Frederick would get an empty netter, getting his 13th goal of the season for the Bruins, making it 3-0. And that's where we would stand at the end of regulations. The Bruins would get a shutout against the Devils. So with the victory, the Bruins have improved to 26, 8, and 9, still atop of that Atlantic Division. The Devils are 22, 16, and 3, and they're still fighting for a wild card spot. All right, now we're off to Columbus, where we have the Blue Jackets, and they played host to the Vancouver Canucks. Okay. We'll take a look at the goal scoring summary from this particular game. So in the first, JT Miller would open up the scoring, getting his 20th goal of the season from Zadorov, 5 minutes and 28 seconds into that frame. Chinakov would tie the game up less than 30 seconds after that, 5 minutes and 55 seconds to be exact, recording his 11th goal of the season, assisted by Johnny Gaudreau. Late in that period, with just over 5 minutes to go, Garland would give the Canucks a 2-1 lead, getting his 6th goal of the season from Bluegar and Joshua. So after 20 minutes of play, it was 2-1 in favor of the Canucks. In the second, Voronkov would tie the game up with a power play goal 3 minutes and 28 seconds into that frame, recording his 8th goal of the season from Boqvist and Johnny Gaudreau. Elias Pettersson would give the Canucks a 3-2 lead with a power play goal of his own, his 23rd of the season from JT Miller and Quinn Hughes, 7 minutes and 35 seconds into that middle frame. So after 40 minutes of play, it was 3-2 in favor of the Canucks. Voronkov would tie the game up in the third period, just over halfway through, getting his 9th goal of the season, assisted by Roslovic. So therefore, we needed extra time. No goals were scored in overtime. We had to jump ahead to a shootout where Marchenko would get the game-winning goal for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So, I mean, if you were a betting person, I guarantee you would not have predicted that the Canucks, who are the best team in the Pacific, would lose to the worst team in the Metropolitan Division. But it's just kind of funny how life works sometimes. So with the victory, the rare victory, the Blue Jackets are sitting at 14-21-9. And again, despite the loss, the Canucks are still the top team of that Pacific Division. They're 29-11-4. All right, now we're off to Florida. We have the Panthers, and they played host to the Anaheim Ducks. Okay, so we'll take a look at the scoring summary from this particular game. And this would be a bit of a shocker as well, too. So in the first, Sam Bennett would open up the scoring, getting his 9th goal of the season from Rodriguez and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, 8 minutes and 29 seconds into that first period, a power play goal to note. Sam Reinhart would increase the lead to 2-0, getting a shorthanded goal for the Panthers, getting his 32nd goal of the year from Mikkola. Alex Killorn would get a very late goal for the Ducks, cutting the deficit in half, getting his 5th goal of the season from Adam Henrique, and that goal happened with just 4 seconds to go in the first period. Speaking of Adam Henrique, he would get on the goal-scoring sheet himself with a shorthanded goal of his own, getting his 11th goal of the season from Frank Vaterno. Verhaeghe would get a power play goal for the Florida Panthers, giving them a 3-2 lead, his 23rd goal of the season from Brandon Montour and Alex Barkov. Sam Bennett would get his 2nd goal of the game, his 10th of the season from Matthew Tkachuk and Connor Verhaeghe with 7 minutes and 11 seconds to go, increasing the lead to 4-2. With just about 5 minutes remaining, Jakob Silfverberg would cut the deficit to 4-3, getting his 2nd goal of the year, assisted by Carrick. So after 40 minutes of play, it was 4-3 in favor of the Panthers. In the third, Terry would tie the game up, getting his 11th goal of the season, assisted by Lacombe, 3 minutes and 45 seconds into that frame. And then the game, there's no other scoring for the rest of the period. We needed time. Alex Killorn would give the Ducks a 5-4 win, his 6th goal of the season from Frank Vaterno and Cam Fowler. And that goal happened just 48 seconds in that overtime period. So with a very scarce win, the Ducks are now sitting at 15-27-1. And with the overtime loss, the Panthers are still second in that Atlantic Division, 27-13-3. All right, now we're off to Pittsburgh, where we have the Penguins, and they played host to the Seattle Kraken. Okay, let's take a look at the goal scoring summary from this particular matchup. There was no scoring in the first, so we have to jump ahead to the second, where Drew O'Connor would open up the scoring just 49 seconds into that middle frame, getting his 6th goal of the season from Rust and Evgeny Malkin. Crosby would increase the lead to 2-0, 3 minutes and 32 seconds into that frame, getting his 25th goal of the season from Chris Letang and Raquel. In the third, Crosby would get his 2nd goal of the game, his 26th of the season from Raquel and Erik Karlsson, and that goal happened with 2 minutes and 21 seconds to go in the frame. So 3-0 would be the final score from Pittsburgh. So with the victory, the Penguins have now improved to 21-15-6. They are inching closer to a wild card spot. And with the loss, the Kraken are 19, 15, and 9. And their point streak has officially come to an end. And just like the Penguins, they're also fighting for a wild card spot as well. All right, the next matchup takes place in Carolina, where we have the Los Angeles Kings, who are visiting the Panthers. Okay. We'll take a look at the goal scoring summary from this particular matchup. In the first, Trevor Moore would open up the scoring, getting his 19th goal of the season from Philip Deneau and Garakov. In the second, Martin Nook would tie the game up, getting his 5th goal of the season 5 minutes and 38 seconds into that frame, assisted by Jarvis and Brent Burns. So after 40 minutes of play, it was all tied up at 1. And in the third, it was just an onslaught of goals. Philip Deneau would kick things off, and getting his 9th goal of the season from Matt Roy and Garakov. Lafreniere would increase his lead to 3-1 for the Kings, getting his 6th goal of the season from Anderson and Pierre-Luc Dubois. Speaking of Pierre-Luc Dubois, he would also get on the goal-scoring sheet himself, recording his 9th goal of the season from Anderson Dolan and Mickey Anderson. Drury would cut the deficit in half to 4-2, getting his 8th goal of the season from Noesen and Chatfield, 8 minutes and 58 seconds to go. And then with the Hurricanes on a power play, Trevor Moore would get a short-handed goal, getting his 20th goal of the season, his 2nd goal of the game, assisted by Deneau and Matt Roy. So that goal happened with 1 minute and 16 seconds to go in the game. So 5-2 would be the final score from Carolina. With the victory, the Kings are now sitting at 21, 11, and 8, third in that division, and the Hurricanes are 24, 14, and 5. They're also sitting third in that Metropolitan Division as well. All right, now we're off to Minnesota, where some history was made between the Wild and the New York Islanders. All right, we'll take a look at the goal scoring summary from this particular matchup. So in the first, Zuccarello would kick things off for the Wild, getting his 7th goal of the season from Faber and Boldy, 2 minutes 11 seconds into that opening frame, a power play goal to note. In the second, Dewar would double up the lead to 2-0, getting his 7th goal of the season, 2 minutes and 18 seconds into that frame. With a power play just over halfway through that frame, Eriksson Ek would increase the lead to 3-0, getting his 16th goal of the season from Kaprizov and Zuccarello. And that goal happened with 6 minutes and 24 seconds remaining in the period. In the third, Eriksson Ek would get a short-handed goal for the Minnesota Wild, recording his 2nd goal of the game, his 17th of the season from Foligno and Bogusayan. Speaking of Foligno, he would get on the goal-scoring sheet himself with a goal with just under a minute to go, 57 seconds to be exact, his 7th goal of the season from Gaudreau and Broden. So 5-0 would be the final score in favor of the Minnesota Wild. So with the victory, the Wild are sitting at 18, 20, and 5. And with the loss, the Islanders are 19, 14, and 10. So when I was talking about how history was made, Marc-Andre Fleury was the starting goaltender for the Minnesota Wild. With the victory, he has now taken over 2nd place of all time for most wins by a goaltender. So I'm sure he's very proud about that. The one thing that's going to be very hard to catch is Marty Brodeur, because I think he still needs like over 100 more wins to catch up to Brodeur. And this could very well be his last season. So if this is his last year as a goaltender in the National Hockey League, he will obviously finish with the 2nd most wins in NHL history, which is absolutely absurd of the career that he has had. All right, now we're off to Vegas, where we have the Golden Knights. They're playing host to the Nashville Predators. All right, we'll take a look at the goal scoring summary from this matchup. In the first, Mark Stone would kick things off for the Vegas Golden Knights late in that first period, 4 minutes and 35 seconds to be exact, getting his 13th goal of the season from Dorovyov and Nick Hague. In the second, Stone will get his 2nd goal of the game, his 14th of the season from Stevenson and Dorovyov, a minute and 11 seconds into that frame. Evangelista would finally get the Predators on the board late in that second period, 2 minutes and 38 seconds to be exact, getting his 9th goal of the season from Carrier and Ryan Yossi. With just 24 seconds to go in that frame, Mark Stone would complete the hat trick, getting his third goal of the game, his 15th of the season from Chandler Stevenson. So after 40 minutes of play, it was 3-1 in favor of the Vegas Golden Knights. Late in the third period, Marchessault would increase the lead to 4-1, getting his 18th goal of the season from Pietrangelo and Nick Waugh. So 4-1 would be the final score from Vegas. With the victory, the Golden Knights are now sitting at 25-14-5, second in that Pacific Division, while the Nashville Predators are 24-19-1. They are currently sitting in the number 1 wild card spot. All right, the last game from Monday took place in St. Louis, where we had the Blues, and they were playing host to the Philadelphia Flyers. All right, let's take a look at the goal scoring summary from this particular game. So there's no scoring in the first. We have to jump ahead to the second period, where Lawton would kick things off for the Flyers, recording his 4th goal of the season from Hathaway and Sean Walker, a minute and 3 seconds into that middle frame. Sundqvist would tie the game up late in that second period. A power play goal, his 5th of the season from Shen and Peronovich. Speaking of late goals, Paling would give the Flyers a 2-1 lead with just 7 seconds remaining. His 5th goal of the season from Zamula and Cam Atkinson. So after 40 minutes of play, it was 2-1 in favor of the Flyers. Brandon Saad would tie the game up a minute and 18 seconds into the third, getting his 11th goal of the season from Shen and Kyrou. Owen Tippett would score with just over 5 minutes remaining, 5 minutes and 33 seconds to be exact, getting his 16th goal of the season from Konechny and Morgan Frost. Farabee would add a late goal of his 15th goal of the season with just 54 seconds remaining, so 4-2 would be the final score in favor of the Flyers. With the victory, Philadelphia is now 24-14-6. They're currently sitting in the top 3 of that Metropolitan Division, while the Blues are 21-19-2, and they're on the outside of the playoff picture as we speak. All right, that takes care of my recap from Monday's action of the NHL. If you like this type of content and you're new to this channel, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. And until next time, take care.